Welcome to your virtual CFO coach. I'm your host, Leah Torbert, founder and CEO of Harrington Strategic Partners. I've spent my entire career working in the startup world, scaling businesses to multi-7 and 8 figures. I built this podcast to share all of that knowledge with you and make your path to success shorter and easier. Tune in each week as I cover topics including financial analysis, cash flow management, holistic strategy, mindset, and more. Now for today's episode.
The dictionary defines balance as a condition in which different elements are equal or in the correct proportions. I like to envision balance by thinking about hanging scales. When equal weight is placed on both sides, then the scales balance out. So when I see content talking about work-life balance, it makes me cringe a little. I don't believe work-life balance exists. Not in the sense that your work and your life outside of work can ever equally be measured out. I think aiming for such a thing just sets us up for failure and disappointment. And on the flip side, ignoring the fact that both are important and need to be managed is also a recipe for disaster. I've experienced this firsthand. I've felt the pain and misery that it causes. The migraines, the sleepless nights, lying awake wondering what the hell I was doing with my life. And after analyzing for what felt like forever, I made the decision to make a huge shift in my life, to finally start prioritizing my personal, physical, and mental health and leave a lucrative but toxic environment behind. I fought hard to keep myself from going back there, to the old thought patterns, the old habits. And I talk more about my process in what I did daily to try to work through dealing with burnout and the stress of having a job like that and making the transition in episode 4 of my podcast. So if you need some extra help there, I definitely recommend that you go check episode 4 out. But today I want to focus on how we actually make time for what truly matters in our lives. Instead of looking for the balance, we're looking for prioritizing the things that matter and building our lives around that. One of the things that I did to help myself was to actually go to therapy, which in my younger days I never would have thought I'd even consider, but I'm so glad I did. And my therapist asked me a question one day that I couldn't easily answer. She asked me, "What do you want your life to be like?" This is such a simple question and yet so complicated at the same time. I don't remember exactly how I replied, but she told me to write the question down so I could think about it before we met for our next session. And then she followed up with this: "Once you've thought about what you want your life to be like, I want you to think about what's holding you back from doing it right now." The answers to those two questions changed everything for me. And to this day, I have 2 post-it notes on the bottom of my monitor. One says, "What would I like my life to be like?" And the other says, "What's holding me back?" Now, every time I feel stuck, I go back to those 2 post-it notes because it reminds me of what really matters. It's not the endless list of tasks that I wade through every day trying to keep all the plates spinning in the air. And it's not the self-inflicted weight of responsibility for all the things work in life. Those are distractions. They're excuses to not prioritize the things that matter, to not live the life I actually want to live, and to give in to those old patterns and habits. In my old life, I prioritized the job above almost everything else. I ignored my mental and physical health because the resources and deadlines set by my employer demanded it. The majority of my days were spent shackled to my desk, working countless hours, thinking of the brief moments of joy that I could fit in around everything else. The 2 questions helped me see that I wasn't even in the same universe as the life I actually wanted, and they helped me to open up to new possibilities and to start living now instead of seeing activities as a reward for the grind. Now I work with a trainer 2 days a week. I started a vegetable garden last year and will expand it this year. My boyfriend and I are back out there going to concerts and planning road trips. We're doing all the things now that I always thought were a future possibility, all from 2 questions and a ton of personal transformation work. And when I feel lost or overwhelmed, or the feelings of guilt start creeping in because I'm not working the same way as the old me, I go back to the 2 questions. Now, as a CEO, you have a lot of responsibilities. It's hard steering your company towards success, making critical decisions, and leading your team through challenges, all while taking care of yourself and your other responsibilities outside of work and enjoying a life at the same time. It's a tall order for sure, but it is possible. But you have to start with the end in mind. What do you want your life to be like? Are you gardening like me, or are you spending more time with your kids? Are you traveling the world or sneaking away to a cabin in the woods? Are you prioritizing your physical and mental health, whatever that looks like for you? Once you have the answer, go to the next question. What's holding you back? Do you struggle with perfectionism? This is a huge one for me. Everything always has to be perfect. I have to be in control. I need to know how it's all going to work out. So there's always a lot of mind work involved when I feel that block, like I can't move forward because something's not quite right. Are your feelings of self-worth tied to your work? I talked about this in episode 4 about how my self-worth since I was a child has been tied to my performance. The feelings of being accepted and wanted and getting that dopamine hit from people being happy about something that you did. I didn't even realize that it was controlling me, but it was. And so maybe you have something like that or something completely different that might be blocking you from your sense of self-worth and how you feel good about yourself. And then the next question is your business organized in a way to support your personal goals? From here, you can start to put together a strategy to make time for what truly matters to you now, instead of waiting for some undefined time in the future. This process is part of the decisive CEO mindset system that I help my clients implement to streamline their decision making and focus on what matters most. We align your business with your life vision so you get there faster. With a decisive CEO mindset, you're in control. You're confidently calling the shots, making the decisions that pave the way for growth and success. The analysis paralysis that you might feel because you're overwhelmed or you're not sure if you have all the right data, if you're making the right decisions, if you're moving in the right direction, that's gone. If you're feeling isolated or overwhelmed, like there's too much on your plate and you don't have anyone to talk to, a thing of the past. You know exactly what you need to make critical decisions and have a support team in place to help you manage the stress of being a CEO and make taking care of yourself a priority. And if you want to learn about developing your decisive CEO mindset so you can make time for what matters most right now, I invite you to book your cash flow optimization call with me today. I'm going to put a link down in the show notes, but you can also head over to my website, harringtonstrategicpartners.com/contact. Now, your decisive CEO mindset is one of 3 pillars of my cash flow ignition methodology. The other 2 pillars, the cohesive cash flow system and the cultivated success blueprint, allow you to make your life vision a reality. With your cohesive cash flow system, your operations are optimized to generate consistent cash flow, increase your profits, and remove the kindling that's causing all the fires that you spend so much of your day putting out. You get fewer meetings, fewer headaches, and more time for all those things that matter most to you. Now, your cultivated success blueprint is the roadmap to achieving your success, to building that life so that you can focus on what matters most. You're intentionally mapping out how you'll achieve your goals and implementing tools and measurements that will actually support your growth and success. No more wondering what the next steps are or finding out too late that you veered off course somewhere. It's all laid out in the cultivated success blueprint so you know what to do and when to fast track your success. Now, if you're interested in learning how my cash flow ignition methodology can ignite your cash flow, I invite you to book your cash flow optimization call today. On this call, we'll tackle your immediate cash flow concerns and outline actionable steps for quick improvement. I'll walk you through the cash flow ignition methodology, explaining how it accelerates results. And if it resonates with you, I'll share some options post-call on how we can work together so you can achieve success faster. I'm going to put a link down in the show notes, but you can also head over to my website, harringtonstrategicpartners.com/contact.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please share with your network and leave a review so our podcast have a greater impact. If you have any comments or additional topics you'd like discussed on the show, let me know. Before you go, connect with me on LinkedIn and let's keep the conversation going.